Taurus, it is your month. So the sun goes into Taurus April 19th. And we also have a huge transit happening just after this next lunar cycle. And of course, we'll explore this in future lunar cycles, future editions of New Moon News. But we have Uranus going into Taurus May 16th, the day after the next new moon. And we'll cover that a little bit in a little bit of what that means exactly. But long story short, this year is the beginning of so much change for you. And we already had Jupiter and Scorpio, as we've discussed in previous editions of New Moon News, giving you evolution within, helping you meet the people that you need to meet to inspire inner change, inner transformation, inner growth. Sometimes it's not fun, sometimes it's not pretty, but overall it is for the betterment. It helps you to get out of any ruts that had coalesced over time, any kind of stagnation. This energy, this year, if you've been holding on to it, is going to change you, and it's not going to be necessarily a fun process. And if you are going with it, then it's going to be a wonderful process, a truly wonderful process where the outer world is giving you opportunity for advancement, for learning, for growing. You just have to be humble, get in touch with that inner Taurus. Just, hey, let's see what the world has to offer. Let's see what other people have to say, and I'll decide for myself what I think. While still being open. That Taurus energy is Mother Earth, Mother Nature. And so being that open field, not choked with weeds and being stubborn and like salty earth, but a nice floral meadow with trees everywhere and a beautiful breeze and seeds planted for future crops, and it's all nice and open and airy and in touch with nature. That is the goal in general, but especially for this year and also this lunar cycle, because this is in many ways the beginning now of this whole next year and also the next 8 years with Uranus being in Taurus. And again, we'll get into that. That's for the end. But Jupiter in Scorpio has been influencing all of us, but especially you, since I was opposing your natural sun, your sun sign energy. And opposing, it seems negative. It's not. It just means it's activating it from without. And also it's helping you to find a nice balance. So it's allowing you to change subconsciously in ways that are logically can be understood, but sometimes are difficult to logically understand, and it takes time. So if you're undergoing deep upheaval right now, deep transformation, just be patient. Key into that inner patience that you have such a great gift of, and allow yourself to accept, okay, there's stuff rumbling under the surface. I wish I could figure out what it all means, but hey, right now it's just not all quite there. I can't see it yet. And so it'll come, though. It'll come. That's something that's really important to keep in mind, that you're in a period of you're in a lot of intense long-term transits. So you don't need to change it all today. You don't need to change it all in a short amount of time. And that's not really in your nature to anyways. But with these energies, it can feel like, oh, I have to do this. And so just breathe, meditate, do yoga, calm down, walk in nature. Just take everything a little bit slow, okay? But make sure you are moving forward. That's the essential thing. So let's see. We have Venus in Taurus, which is a wonderful transit until Venus goes into Gemini April 24th, about 9 days after the beginning of this transit. It looks like Tuesday the 24th. So what this means for you is you're looking at a nice 9 days of the first 9 days of this lunar cycle being very sweet, luxurious, sensual, lovey, affectionate, stable. Your relationships with others are very much, that's all the positive stuff. Now on the challenging side, you want to make sure you're not too possessive with other people. You want to make sure other people aren't too possessive with you. And just to gently remind them, but to be firm of, no, I don't accept that kind of behavior. I don't accept that kind of energy towards me. If somebody does, get a little bit possessive, a little bit too, if they're not handling the Jupiter and Scorpio transit very well, and that opposite, this Venus and Taurus energy, the best way is to enjoy ourselves with other people, learning and being open, but also knowing ourselves. And of course, both of those are a process, but just staying grounded, enjoying ourselves, but keeping everything in moderation. So, a couple things. Mercury went direct. This doesn't impact Taurus too much because, actually, you know what? Yeah, so let's go back to the Venus and Gemini thing real quick. Then we'll go on to the Mercury stuff. Venus going into Gemini on April 24th is going to be lovely because Venus and Taurus is lovely too. But Venus and Gemini, because Venus is your ruling planet as well as the Earth, it is going to be a wonderful time. You'll find yourself much more sociable, less focused on things, more focused on people, ideas, being able to reach out to other people, to communicate. You're going to be able to network really well during this time, extremely well. In fact, the challenge is to not be too much of a smooth talker during this time, because Venus is just going to give you all of the gift of gab and all the words that you could ever want. But make sure you're using it for what you need instead of what you want. That's essential. And make sure that you're really meaning what you say in connection with the people, because it can feel during this time like, oh, they're just words, but words have meaning and other people can really cling on to them. So that's something that's good to keep in mind. But overall, this is going to be a really wonderful time. Just say what you mean. That's what it comes down to. And reach out. Don't be afraid to speak out when the time is right. Now, going back to Mercury. Mercury is going into Taurus May 13th, so that's awesome. We'll look forward to that more so for the future, the next edition of New Moon News, because that begins May 15th, 2 days after Mercury goes into Taurus. So what this means for this lunar cycle is, because Mercury is still going to be in a shadow period until May 4th, which means we're still going to be kind of dealing with this Mercury retrograde we had during this last lunar cycle, of trying to figure out, okay, what are my thoughts? How do I move forward? Who am I? What is my passion? How do I handle my anger? Where that's all cooling down a lot during this cycle, and especially with the sun moving into Taurus on April 19th, that's going to be really nice to just chill everything out. Because all this Aries energy, there's no such thing as a bad energy, but we've had a lot of Aries energy this last lunar cycle. And we need some Taurus, we need some chill. You know, we've had Venus and Taurus, but that combined with the Aries energy, people have been very egotistical about possession. So it's time to change that up a little bit. And so we do have a lot of Aries energy still from April 15th until May 13th. But this is actually really helpful for you, because we have so much other Taurus energy going on. It's going to be a wonderful chance to stay rooted in who you are, because that's the beautiful part of Aries, is knowing who we are, staying in touch with who I am, what I do, what I'm passionate about, what I need, and being able to speak about it, especially when Venus goes into Gemini April 24th. That is going to activate that Mercury and Aries energy a lot. So speak up, be witty, be peaceful, but speak up. It's really essential during this lunar cycle. Righty. So Uranus into one more thing, then we'll get to Uranus and Taurus. Mars is going to stay in Capricorn for the entirety of this lunar cycle until May 16th. We'll talk about what that means later in the next edition of New Moon News, of Mars going into Aquarius. But basically, Mars and Saturn are working with you. It's in Earth energy. Capricorn and Taurus, as well as Virgo, are all trying each other. All of the energies that are of the same element naturally just help and support each other. So things might get frustrating. You don't know quite how to say what you need to say, and in a direct, peaceful way, and not to get too angry. But Mars will say, okay, take your time. Mars and Saturn and Capricorn is going, hold on, pump the brakes, stay mature, don't give in to anger, don't give in to infantile ego. Stay in the strong, mature ego of knowing of self, knowing of others. And knowing of self isn't just knowing how great we are and our gifts and all that. It's also knowing, hey, I have certain triggers that make me act like a damn fool, and I make me act like a child. And we all do. You know, we all do. It's not unique to any one energy. We all have it. So Mars and Saturn are helping you in particular to check that and be, okay, take my time, stay mature, stay professional, and let's make sure that I'm sparing other people from my ego, and that I am freeing myself from other people's ego BS. So that's super helpful. And also building for the long term. Mars and Saturn in Capricorn are helping you tremendously to be able to set goals for projects and to reach them step by step by step. Not only now, but for the next 2 years before Mars goes back into Capricorn again. And for the next 30 years, because it's going to take 30 years for Saturn to go into Capricorn. So no need to feel any pressure. These are long-term trends. Again, we don't experience them in one lunar cycle, not even 1 year. I mean, you got 30 years. So just take your time with it. Set your goals. Go for it. It's all going to be the resources will come together for you. So Uranus and Taurus. Again, we'll explore this more in future editions of New Moon News. But what this means is, Uranus is going to be challenging you to change, to transform, to grow, to become more ingenious than ever, to become more innovative than ever, to take who you are to the next level. Now, a lot of people are going to... Uranus is the genius madness principle. It's the good, and then there's the challenge. Every energy, every planet has a good and that's challenge. So over the next 8 years, and it's just good to kind of reflect on it now. I wonder what are my goals for the next 8 years? Am I allowing myself to grow up? Am I transforming myself? Am I challenging myself? Or am I going to be the shadow Taurus? Because you'll experience this with a lot of shadow of Taurus, is acting out of fear, out of envy, greed, anger, but like unhealthy anger that isn't channeled productively. That they'll just blow up, and they'll take that genius principle that Uranus is offering and insist on staying in one spot instead of utilizing that energy to move forward. So again, we'll talk about this much more in depth in the future, but long story short, this was a very exciting time. Roll with the changes, take one step at a time, keep breathing, and that's true for any transit, and enjoy. And when dark times happen, just remember it's all going to settle down soon enough. Earthquakes eventually chill out. It's all good. Infinite love to you, my friend. Namaste.